closed the youth gestalt and not when it was needed. That's how I'd describe it. The way everything felt too early and too late all at once. I met her in 10th grade. Angela. She sat 2 rows up in Algebra 2 and always wore this red hoodie even when it was 90 outside. I was just a kid who never said much, never asked anyone out, never got asked. But she noticed me anyway. By senior year, we were together. Not the on-again, off-again drama kind you see in movies. We just clicked. She told me she loved how quiet I was. Said it made her feel safe. I told her I'd never loved anyone before, but if what I was feeling wasn't love, then I didn't know what else to call it. We stayed together through college. I went to a state school for finance. She got picked up by a local modeling agency, started traveling more and more. At first, we made it work, weekends together, calls every night. After graduation, I landed a job with a financial firm. Moved up quick. By 30, I was a financial director at a pretty major company in Chicago. We got a condo downtown. She'd come back in between jobs, sometimes for a few days, sometimes just a night. We were still us, I thought. Still in love. At least I was. I asked her to marry me on a Tuesday night. No big speech. No crowd. Just us sitting on the couch eating Thai food. She said yes without even looking surprised. Like she'd already known I would ask. But we never set a date. Work got busy. Her travel ramped up. The conversation faded. We still said I love you. Still had sex. Still watched dumb shows on Netflix. But something was shifting and I didn't want to see it. Then one day I came home from work. It was just a regular Thursday. Long day, late meetings. I remember stopping to grab a sandwich on the way because I figured she wouldn't be home yet. But when I walked in, something felt off. Quiet in a way that didn't make sense. Her clothes gone. Her shoes gone. The framed photo of us in Cabo gone. I checked the closet. Empty. The only thing left was a note on the bed. I didn't read it right away. I just stood there for a while trying to make sense of it. Then I picked it up. I can't do this anymore, it started. I've been seeing someone else for a while. I didn't know how to tell you. I'm sorry. That was it. No name. No explanation. Just sorry. I called her. Straight to voicemail. Tried again. Same thing. I must have stood there for hours. Just sat on the edge of the bed holding that note, reading it over and over like it would change. That night I didn't sleep. I didn't cry either. I just felt hollow. Like someone had pulled something out of me I didn't even know I had. The next morning I went to work like nothing had happened. Suited up. Sat in meetings. Nodded at spreadsheets. Pretended my world hadn't just split in half. People asked if I was okay. I said I was fine. That word again. Fine. After Angela left, the condo felt like a museum of a life that never happened. Half-finished plans and used wedding magazines in the drawer, 2 coffee mugs when I only ever needed one. I didn't tell anyone. Not at first. I went to work, smiled when I had to, answered emails, sat through board meetings. The only change was I stopped going home right after. I'd sit in my car in the parking garage for an hour or 2 just watching the city. Sometimes I drove around until midnight, radio low, no real destination. I kept expecting her to call. To explain. To say it was a mistake. But she didn't. 2 weeks passed before I told my brother. We were at a bar watching the Bears game and I just said it out of nowhere. Angela's gone. He looked over, confused. Gone? She left. Said she's been cheating on me. He didn't say much. Just clapped a hand on my shoulder. Ordered another round. That was the first time I let myself feel it. In a dive bar, with the game on and the smell of fried food everywhere, I felt it hit. I didn't cry. I just sat there, stunned, like someone had told me a different guy's story and I was still trying to figure out how it ended. I started losing focus at work. Missed a deadline. Forgot a report. My assistant had to remind me to sign off on payroll, which I never missed. My boss called me in. Asked if I needed time off. I said no. Work was the only thing still moving. Nights were the worst. I'd lie in bed with the lamp on, scrolling through old texts from her. Photos of her smiling from some beach shoot or hotel lobby. I couldn't bring myself to delete anything. Then one night I did. Just opened her message thread and hit delete. Watched the screen go blank. Didn't feel any better. Just empty in a different way. About a month later, I ran into a guy at a networking event who used to work PR for one of the brands Angela modeled for. We made small talk and then he said, "Hey, I saw Angela's with that photographer now, what's his name, Dylan something?" My stomach turned. "Didn't know that," I said, trying to sound casual. He nodded. "Yeah, they're all over Instagram. Thought you guys were still together." I smiled. "Not anymore." That night I looked him up. Dylan. Tall, bearded, artsy type. Lived in LA, posted moody black and whites, and liked to write captions that sounded like bad poetry. There she was, in his pictures. Laughing. Holding his hand. Wrapped in sheets. She'd moved on. Fast. I wanted to smash something. But instead, I just closed the laptop and sat there in the dark. Then, a strange thing happened. I woke up the next day and didn't feel like dying. Still hurt, yeah. Still hollow. But a tiny part of me, some tiny sliver, felt like I'd survived something. I started going to the gym again. Nothing intense, just lifting, sweating, getting out of my own head. I stopped drinking on weekdays. Cooked real meals instead of frozen garbage. Work got a little better. I caught up. People stopped asking if I was okay. And one day a name popped into my head. Sophie. The girl I used to know before Angela. Back in college. We never dated, just friends. Laughed a lot. Stayed in touch for a bit, then drifted. I found her on LinkedIn of all places. Sent a message. Just said, hey, it's been a while. Hope you're well. Didn't think she'd respond. But she did. Wow. Hey stranger, she wrote back. I haven't heard from you in God forever. Have you been? I stared at that message for a long time before replying. There's a moment where your old life and your new one kind of stand on either side of you and you don't know which way to lean. This was that. I told her the truth. Not all of it. Just that Angela and I were done and it had been a rough few months. She said she was sorry. Said I deserved better. Then we talked about random things, college memories, stupid parties, professors we hated. It felt easy. Like talking to someone who still knew a version of me that didn't have scars all over it. We messaged off and on for a week. Then one night she said we should grab coffee sometime if you're up for it. That's when I hesitated. Part of me was excited. The other part felt guilty. Even though Angela had been gone for months, even though she was the one who walked out, I still felt like stepping into something new meant leaving behind the last piece of what used to be. But I said yes anyway. We met at a cafe near the lake. Saturday morning, cold wind off the water. She showed up in this huge sweater and jeans, hair pulled back, no makeup. Still looked exactly the same somehow, just older. Softer around the eyes. She hugged me like she meant it. Not romantic. Just real. We talked for hours. Caught up on everything. She told me she'd been married once, briefly. Didn't work out. No kids. Worked in non-profit grant writing now. Still loved bad sci-fi movies and baking bread on Sundays. At one point, she looked at me and said, you seem sad. I shrugged. It's been a year. She nodded but didn't press. After that, we started texting more. Then we did dinner. Then a movie. Nothing physical. Just time. Time with someone who didn't ask for anything but showed up anyway. That's when I realized something. Love doesn't always hit like a truck. Sometimes it sneaks in quietly through the cracks in the walls you built to keep it out. I remember the exact night I felt it. We were at her place, eating takeout on the floor because her couch had a broken leg and she hadn't gotten around to fixing it. She laughed at something dumb I said, really laughed, head back, full breath, and I looked at her and thought, I could do this. I could be okay again. She caught me staring and smiled. What? I just shook my head. Nothing. Just, this is nice. She said, yeah, it is. I didn't kiss her. Not that night. Not yet. But I knew it was coming. And it didn't scare me. A few days later, Angela called. Out of nowhere. Just her name on the screen like a ghost you weren't ready to see. I let it ring. Then I picked up. She said, hey. I said, hey. Long pause. I just wanted to say I'm sorry. For how I left. For everything. I didn't say anything. She added, I think about you sometimes. I hope you're okay. I said, I'm getting there. Another pause. I guess that's good, she said. Take care, okay? And that was it. Click. No closure. No grand apology. Just a crack in the air where something used to be. I sat there a long time after. Not sad. Not mad. Just still. Then I called Sophie. Hey, I said. Hey, she said back. You want to do breakfast tomorrow? She laughed. Yeah. I'd like that. Breakfast turned into lunch. Lunch turned into more weekends. Before I knew it, Sophie had a drawer in my place. Nothing dramatic, just a few things. A toothbrush. A hoodie. Some of her face wash that smelled like oranges. We weren't rushing anything. After Angela, I didn't want to jump in fast. And Sophie wasn't the type to push. She said once, if this is real, there's no need to sprint. I like that. At work, things evened out. I stopped making mistakes. Got back into a rhythm. My boss stopped checking in with those weird, concerned eyes. But I wasn't the same guy anymore. Something had cracked open and didn't close again. Sophie noticed it. You've got a sadness in your bones, she said once, lying next to me on the couch, her head on my chest. It's not loud, but it's there. I didn't deny it. I think I just don't know how to trust anything anymore, I said. She didn't say, I get it, or it'll pass. She just said, okay. And somehow that helped more than anything. One Saturday we went out of the city, just a little day trip to a small town with antique stores and a diner that served pie with every meal. She held my hand across the table. Asked if I wanted to stay the night. I said yes. We found a cheap room in a roadside inn. Watched old movies on cable, drank beer from the vending machine. That night, we made love for the first time. It wasn't fireworks. It wasn't some earth-shattering thing. But it was honest. And kind. In the morning, she curled up next to me and said, "You're not broken. You're just healing." That one stuck. Back in the city, things got real. I saw Angela again. At a company gala. She was on the arm of some marketing exec from the West Coast. She didn't notice me. Or maybe she did and pretended not to. I watched them for a while. They looked happy. Or good at pretending. I didn't feel jealous. Just separate. Like that life was a show I used to be part of and now I was watching reruns with the sound off. Later that night, Sophie asked if I was okay. I told her the truth. Seeing her didn't hurt, but it reminded me of what I lost. Not her, but time. All those years. She nodded. Maybe we didn't lose them, she said. Maybe we just used them up. I couldn't argue with that. Over the next few months, we kept building whatever it was we were building. Slow. Steady. No big promises. Then one day I woke up before her. Watched her sleep. The light was coming in through the blinds just right, and for the first time in years I didn't feel haunted. I made coffee. Brought her a cup. She opened her eyes and smiled. "You okay?" "Yeah," I said. "I think I am." And I meant it. I didn't expect to be happy again. Not really. I thought I'd float through life, patched up but never whole. Sophie changed that. But here's the thing nobody tells you: happiness doesn't feel like fireworks. It feels like waking up and not dreading the day. Like not having to rehearse every word before you say it. Like silence that doesn't feel heavy. That's what life became with her. Steady, quiet, good. Then she got sick. Started with headaches. Then fatigue. Then she couldn't finish her morning run without sitting down on the curb. She said it's probably just stress. But I knew something was off. Tests. Appointments. Scans. It was an autoimmune thing. Not fatal, but chronic. Would need managing. Meds. Lifestyle changes. She cried when they told her. Not in front of the doctor, but in the car with the heater blasting even though it wasn't cold. "I don't want to be someone's burden," she said. "You're not," I said. "You're my life." That was the first time I said that out loud. She didn't reply. Just reached over and held my hand until we hit the red light on 19th. The next few months were different. Harder. But not worse. We found a rhythm. She learned which days would be rough, which foods would set her off. I went to appointments. Learned the names of meds. Made soup when she couldn't get out of bed. One night she said, "I didn't think anyone would stick around through this." "I'm not anyone," I said. And I meant that too. Some people thought I was settling. Trading the fast life for something small. But they didn't know what it meant to watch someone choose you again and again even when they're hurting. Angela never did that. Sophie did. We moved in together that fall. Got a place near the lake with a tiny backyard and a lopsided fence. She planted herbs. I bought a grill. We argued over where the bookshelf should go. Normal stuff. Good stuff. And then one night, in the middle of folding laundry, she looked up at me and said, "Do you ever think we met at the right time?" I said no. "I think we met when we needed to." She smiled. "You always say the right thing." "I used to say all the wrong things," I said. "Then I'm glad I met you after." That was the moment. That's the one I go back to when things are rough again. When her hands shake too much to hold a cup. When she can't get out of bed. When I'm tired from work and the fridge is empty and everything feels a little too loud. I think about her sitting there, folding socks, smiling like that. And I know I'd do it all over again. Every mistake. Every heartbreak. All of it. To end up here. I used to think life had these big chapters, beginnings, endings, clean breaks. But it turns out most of it is just the long middle. The stuff nobody writes songs about. That's where we were. Sophie's health came and went in waves. Some months she was up early, baking, painting, running errands like nothing was wrong. Other times she couldn't leave the couch. Couldn't keep food down. Couldn't smile the way she used to. And I didn't go anywhere. I learned to plan around the bad days. I stocked soups in the freezer. Bought extra meds when they were on sale. Drove her to appointments, sat in waiting rooms reading magazines from 5 years ago. We didn't talk about marriage. Not because we didn't want it, but because it didn't feel necessary. We were already there. Committed in a way a piece of paper doesn't change. My job got more demanding. I took the promotion they'd offered before, more hours, more money, more headaches. I thought about turning it down. Sophie said, take it. We'll figure the rest out. So I did. Sometimes I'd come home after 10, exhausted, neck sore from being hunched over numbers all day, and she'd be asleep on the couch, cat curled up by her feet, the lamp still on. And I'd just stand there for a minute looking at her, feeling that same tight pull in my chest. That weird thing love does when it catches you off guard. The kids from my past, my brothers, my friends, they were growing up. One of them got engaged. Another graduated college. They all knew me as the guy who had a rough patch but landed okay. Funny how people summarize your life like that. Sophie's family liked me. Her mom would text sometimes, little updates, little jokes. Her dad called once to say thanks. Just thanks. Didn't say for what. I think he just meant for being there. The condo we shared started feeling like a home. Not the kind with fancy furniture or Instagram walls. Just lived in. Ours. The sink always had a spoon in it. The hall light flickered if you flipped it too fast. One of the kitchen drawers stuck. But it was real. That Christmas, we didn't go anywhere. Just stayed in, ate too much ham, watched dumb movies. She gave me a book I'd mentioned in passing 6 months before. Said I pay attention. I gave her a necklace. Nothing fancy. Just simple with a tiny gold circle. She cried. Said she never thought she'd feel safe again. And I realized neither had I. One night, months later, we were sitting on the porch. She had a blanket over her lap. I was nursing a beer. She looked out at the dark street and said, do you ever wonder what would have happened if Angela hadn't left? I thought about it. Sometimes, I said. But only in the way you wonder what you'd be like if you'd taken a different bus in high school. You think about it, then it passes. She nodded. I don't miss her, I added. I miss who I thought I was when I was with her. Turns out I like who I am now more. She leaned her head on my shoulder and whispered, good. And that was enough. We never had a wedding, Sophie and I. Just quietly started living like we'd always been together. Some people asked. Some assumed we were already married. We never corrected them. Her health stayed about the same, manageable, unpredictable. Good days, bad days. I kept showing up. So did she. We got older. That crept up on us. Gray at the temples, backs that cracked in the morning, the kind of aches that don't go away. But it didn't matter. We were still here. Sophie painted again. Not often. Just little things. Birds, windows, old coffee mugs. She said it helped her breathe better. I didn't ask what she meant by that. I kept working. Same company, just more responsibilities. They offered me another promotion. I turned it down. Told them I had enough. That surprised a few people. I think they expected me to keep climbing. But I'd already figured out what mattered. We traveled some. Small trips. Roadside towns. Flea markets. Motel coffee and gas station maps. One time, we ended up in a bed and breakfast that used to be a post office. Another time, we stayed in a place with no cell service and fell asleep listening to frogs outside the window. It wasn't glamorous. But it was good. That's the word that keeps coming back. Good. Not perfect. Not thrilling. Just good. Sometimes I sit on the porch now, years later, and think about how everything changed that one night Angela left. How a note on a bed rerouted a whole life. Back then, I thought it was the end of something. And it was. But it was also the beginning of something better. Something quieter. More honest. Angela never reached out again. Not after that one call. I heard through someone she moved to Europe. Married that photographer. No kids. I hope she's okay. Really, I do. As for the girl who used to fold socks with a smile and said I wasn't broken, I'm still with her. She's in the other room now, playing some record she found at a thrift shop. Probably singing along out of key. And I'm here, writing this down for no one in particular. Just felt like it needed to be said. If you're in the middle of it, whatever it is, you might think it's over. That you ruined everything. That there's no way back. But sometimes the way back isn't back at all. It's forward. To something smaller. Something real. Something good.